friends. I hope you're having a great day today. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of Take 5. We are in the series that we've entitled The Cheerful Giver. And this week we are discussing the subject of almsgiving. I want to take a few minutes today and just look at several different scriptures that talk about God's thoughts on this subject of giving to the poor and needy, what He expects out of us, and what He has promised to do for us as we do this as well. Leviticus 23:22 is where we'll start. He says, when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of the field when you reap, nor shall you gather any gleaning from your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. So God says when you reap your harvest there, that Israel was supposed to leave the corners, the four corners of their field. They were supposed to leave the corners for those that were in need. And any grain that they dropped on the ground while they were gathering it, they were not supposed to stop and pick it up. They were supposed to leave it on the ground so again the needy could get that. Now you could be a person that was even more generous when you made your corners larger, because nowhere does the Bible tell us how large our corners have to be. And so if we have a truly generous heart, we're going to increase the size of our corners or the amount that we give to those that are truly in need. As God blesses us, we give even more according to our ability. And from all the way back in the book of Leviticus, we see that God says it's something He expects for us to do. Psalm 82 says, defend the poor and the fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and the needy. Deliver the poor and needy and free them from the hand of the wicked. Proverbs 22:9 says, the generous will themselves be blessed, for they share their food with the poor. Did you hear that? God said He would bless those that are generous as we give to the poor. Proverbs 28:27, those who give to the poor will lack nothing, but those that close their eyes to them will receive many curses. Proverbs 19:17, he that has pity on the poor lends to the Lord, and the Lord will repay what you have given. Now that's a powerful promise right there, to know that when we give to the poor, God says it's just like you were lending to me and I will repay. God will repay. Not the man that we gave will repay, but God says He will repay. The God that owns everything, He said He would repay when we give to the poor. And then Psalm 41 expands this idea of God's promised blessings for those that give, and says this, blessed is he who considers the poor, for the Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. The Lord will preserve him and keep him alive. He will be blessed on the earth, not in heaven, but on the earth. You will not deliver him to the will of his enemies, and the Lord will strengthen him on his bed of illness and sustain him on his sick bed. God has just promised to work in just about every area of your life with blessing when we think about the poor and needy, and we have cheerful hearts and we give generously to them. So using those verses, it's really easy to see God's attitude toward those that are truly poor and needy and how He expects us to respond. Now, I must also take a little turn right here and begin to talk about something that's really kind of uncomfortable, but it's the truth. We do have a mindset today in so many people, this mindset of entitlement, and the work ethic for the day is just terrible. People are just, they seem to be terribly lazy. And with that mindset of entitlement and that work ethic, it kind of puts us in sort of a conundrum, you know. We're supposed to give. We know we're supposed to give. We want to give, you know, because we know God has promised, and we want to give just because we're generous, you know, we're cheerful givers. But how do you know when someone has a true need? How do you know when they're not just being lazy? How do you know that they're not just working the system? You know, we've all had those questions. I guarantee you I have. As a matter of fact, those are the same three questions that I have every time when a situation arises. You know, how do I know they really have a need? How do I know they're just not being lazy? How do I know they're not working the system? I have those same three thoughts every time I drive past somebody that's holding a sign saying, "We'll work for food, God bless." You know, I have those same three thoughts. But I also have to know that some of them may be working the system, but some of them are legitimate. And I know that in order to get into that situation that they're in, it only takes about 5 or 6 bad decisions and you can be there. And as far as that goes, all it takes is for your company, your place of employment to go belly up overnight and bam, there you are, you know. So you have to be careful with this. The problem is at the end of the day, you really don't know. And that's when you've got to turn to the scripture for clarity. And also make sure that we don't stereotype everyone that we see who seems to be poor and needy. It can be real easy to harden your heart. I know I've done it, and I've talked to many people that have. And when we harden our heart, we will turn our head away from those people because we feel like so many take advantage of really good people. And sometimes the only solution is just to give with a generous heart and let God sort it out because you really don't know what to do. Now, God does expect all of our giving to be from our heart and not our head, but He does also intend for us to use biblical wisdom, and that's what we're going to analyze the rest of the week. Psalms 112, verse number 5 says, "A good man deals graciously and lends, and he will guide his affairs with discretion." Discretion, that's just simply right judgment based upon what you know to be the truth. So we're supposed to be godly givers, generous givers, cheerful givers, but we're supposed to do it with discretion. Now, if you weren't here Sunday, you're probably wondering, well, what are you talking about, Russ? What do we judge by? How do we know what the truth is? Well, that's what we're going to do the rest of the week. I'm going to give you 4 telltale signs that will help us make a decision based upon biblical wisdom, and then we can guide our giving with discretion, just like the Bible tells us to. I'm not trying to talk you out of giving. I'm trying to talk you into giving, but I also think it's important for us to know that there are some times when the Bible will teach us that we might not need to give, so we need to use discretion in order to do that. Well, hey, I've got to get out of here. It's been good being with you today. I look forward to being with you tomorrow on Wednesday's edition of Take 5. Until then, God bless you. Have a great day. Remember, friend, trust the Lord. He will never fail you.